What up, late night freaks? I'm here to drop in to do a spontaneous channeled message, and I'm going to pull some cards and just kind of fill out the storyline a little bit. This came in a very strange way, okay? And you know, I've been thinking about it. I want to just like really let it all hang out, you know, when I'm doing my readings with you all. And you know, I'm not your typical broad, okay? I'm into some kind of out there stuff, and I have a sort of strange sense of humor, and you know, things come to me in unusual ways when I get messages. You know, they come in very humorous ways, you know. I really view life in a satirical way, and it's been my life practice to just find, you know, the humor in everything. I make full belly laughs like a regular part of my day, and I definitely embrace the spirit of absurdity. I am a Discordian witch, okay? That doesn't mean that we like, you know, mayhem and discord or, you know, any of that nonsense. It means just what I was saying, that, you know, we have kind of a satirical view of life. We have a certain sense of stoicism, but at the same time, we understand the creative play of chaos, and that it's the place of, you know, all potentiality, right? You know, this world wouldn't even exist if it weren't for chaos. You know, there always has to be that point where, you know, shit totally comes undone before it comes back together again, you know? And as a Discordian witch, I like to work with that energy creatively, okay? And playfully, you know? And, you know, I love the words and the works of Robert Anton Wilson. I do have kind of a philosophical approach to life, but at the same time, I don't take shit too seriously, you know? I know enough to know that I don't really know shit, and that none of us do, and we're all kind of stumbling along in this life, just doing the best we can, trying to find our way through. And I hope that I can be a place where you all can just drop in, you know, have some fun, have some laughs, dive into the absurdity of it, be open, just receive whatever comes through, feel out, you know, what's for you and what's not for you, you know, and take with you the gifts accordingly that come through the messages. But this particular message came through in a very, very strange way. I was actually thinking about that old film, The Gremlins, you know? And I was thinking about Spike. And I always loved Spike when I was a kid. He was my favorite character, you know? And it's like, I just suddenly had this like little hit that, you know, isn't that funny that even as a young girl, you know, I had a thing for the bad boy, you know? The bad boy was the one I was drawn to, not the good one, you know? Not the sweet one, not Gizmo, you know? I was drawn to Spike, and I know I'm not the only one. I know a lot of people have a fondness for Spike. But Spike was a bad motherfucker, you know? He caused a lot of trouble, you know? And yet he was so entertaining and lovable at the same time, right? You couldn't fault him too much. And I think he speaks to like that rebellious side of all of us. Now, some of you may tune into this and be like, what the fuck is she talking about? What is the Gremlins? So, you know, I don't know. This may be a channeled message that's specifically targeted to like Generation X, you know, but it could apply for anybody, you know. So just listen to the messages. Just because that's what inspired me doesn't mean that, you know, if you don't know about the Gremlins, that, you know, the message isn't for you, It very well could be, okay. But what I was picking up on was a situation involving a bad boy or a bad broad, okay? I do feel it's somebody that's running like masculine energy though, like strong energy, okay? And this bad boy, I'm just going to say bad boy, you can take it as broad if that's what speaks to you. This bad boy, you know, is like the stereotypical heartbreaker, right? And there's a whole lot of mess going on in relation to this bad boy because he's got all kinds of girls chasing after him. And it's getting kind of complicated. And I wanted to like build this story around this. This is somebody's message. It didn't come in like for any particular sign. It's just a collective message. And it was inspired by Spike of the Gremlins. I did pick up a name though, Ghislaine. So that's kind of interesting just because of like sort of what's going on, you know, with the whole Ghislaine Maxwell thing. And there was this piece that came in that's like, you know, this bad boy may be a little bit badder than you think he is. So I don't know, you know, we'll find out what is coming in around that. But I did pick up the name Ghislaine, Gizzy, Izzy, you know, as nicknames, Giselle, you know, as people who could be involved in the situation. I just heard Cassie, you know, these are women who could be involved in the situation. And Bob for a guy, which is kind of funny because when I think of Bob, I automatically think of Bob Dobbs. So maybe Bob is the kind of like representation of this dude, you know. Maybe he's like a slacker, you know. Maybe he's a slack master. He comes off like he's like this dude who really has his shit together. He's on top of it, you know. He always has some hustle going on, right? But really, he's a slack master. And it's funny because like when I said that, this card that came out right here is the false face. So I think this guy kind of presents this image like he's really got it together, you know, and that's kind of one of his drawing points with the ladies, you know. This is what draws them in, but it really is an act. And I'm still breaking in this deck. This is the Arcane Bullshit deck. And it's a really wild deck. It's very discordant in nature, you know, but I really like playing with it because it works with just like symbolism, you know, and every time you get something different out of it. And it's very absurd. But I am picking that up with this guy. Like, this guy could be somebody who, you know, you've never been to his place, you know, he takes you out for the night, but, you know, he always wants to go to your place, or, you know, he wants to go somewhere outdoors, like he's like, let's just, you know, go and lay a sleeping bag out on the beach and, you know, have ourselves a romp, like, but you don't know where he lives, like, you've never been to his place, you've never seen, you know, his environment. And I think that that's kind of to keep this false front, you know, going. It's sort of like his cover, you know. He doesn't really want you to see where he's at, you know. He may live at home, you know, with his mom, you know. And, you know, not like there's anything wrong with that. You know, sometimes people go through difficult, you know, situations, you know. Yeah, it's interesting. We have here the poop of vomiting on cats, okay? So, you know, I mean, I think that this guy has some developing to do, you know, some emotional development to do. He's, you know, he's kind of in his, you know, metamorphosis still, and I feel like he's more at the beginning stages. You know, he's right about at that point where he's about to go through his, what I like to call the goop stage. Okay, you know, there's different stages. If you think of like the metamorphosis process of like the butterfly, right? It begins as this you know, caterpillar, and then it makes this cocoon, and it goes within the cocoon, and you know, in that cocoon, you know, part of becoming a butterfly is complete dissolution. Like this larva, you know, just becomes this like goop. This goop. And isn't that how things are, you know, when you're going through a growth process? Like, you go through a goop stage where, you know, everything is just kind of all over the place and you're trying to figure shit out, you know? And, you know, I think this guy has been through some difficult stuff, you know? I am picking that up. This bad boy, he's been through some difficult stuff, and I feel like he's in his goop phase. I feel like he does want to kind of like handle things in a better way, but he's not really sure how to go about it, you know? At the same time, you know, he's still very driven by his lower natures, and because of that, you know, he complicates things sometimes. You know, he likes his kitty cats. He might even like Kit Kats, because I just heard that song, you know, give me a break, give me a break, break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. So yeah, I think, you know, he's kind of like, hey man, give me a break, man. I haven't had it easy and I can't help it. I like to break me off some, you know. I don't know what to say. I can't help myself sometimes, but I feel like he is trying to work on it. But he may have gone through some difficult times, you know, as a lot of us did over these past couple years, you know, with everything that's been going on in the world. So he might have had some financial fallback. I think he likes to present that he's not in that position, though. I think he likes to present that he really has his shit together, that he has his money together, you know, that he's stable, and he puts up that front, you know, because he knows that's what's going to draw the ladies in. You know, they like a bad boy, but they also want a guy that they feel, you know, can hold it down. So I feel that's sort of like his angle, but, you know, he doesn't really have that stability, you know. I'm seeing different scenarios, different images, you know. One scenario is, you know, he just lives in a humble little place. He just has a little studio, you know. And maybe he feels like it should be something more. Maybe he's a little, you know, too invested in appearances, and he's kind of forgotten what's important, you know, with this random clip art, you know. Maybe he's just kind of like going with the programming of what we see constantly, right, on social media and, you know, all that jazz, and about, you know, keeping up appearances and, you know, just like what's hip, right? What's cool? You know, what do you need to do to like appeal to people? You know, but he doesn't really realize that, you know, that's not where it's at. And it's almost like this like status thing, like the kind of like the stereotypical like notch in the bedpost thing. Like the more women that I can, you know, bag, then the more validated I am in my masculinity. And, you know, you can flip the gender roles any way you like, okay? But I think, who knows, there could be, everybody could be at this party with the orgy card here, but we see, you know, paired with that is urinal death, you know? I think he's realizing that, you know, this is only going to take him so far in life, you know? And I think this is a guy, you know, he's a bad guy. He's been labeled the bad guy, you know, because he likes to have fun. He's free-spirited, you know, and maybe he hasn't always practiced, you know, the cleanest practices in that regard. And it seems like it's a little messy and complicated. I mean, I look at this, the orgy here, and I see like a total clusterfuck situation, you know? It doesn't look like anybody is actually really enjoying themselves at this orgy if you take a look. I mean, what the fuck are these people doing? They look dazed and confused or totally fucking bored, but, you know, this doesn't look like fun. It looks like complication. We have this look at this fucking hourglass right here. And I think that's the thing, is it's like this very well may speak to the Generation X collective, okay? Because I feel like there's this sense of, you know, being very conscious of the passage of time. And just sort of realizing that, you know, this isn't what's gonna bring, you know, that fulfillment at the end of the day. And as you start getting older, you start valuing your time more. And isn't this interesting? You know, we talked about the butterfly and the larva stage and all this, and there's this moth up here. You know, they go through the same type of transformation, but moth medicine is a little bit more associated with kind of like a spiritual death, right? It's like this spiritual transformation where, you know, you usually have to confront a lot of your fears. And I think there could be a lot of fear for this guy about, like, you know, losing his glory days, right? He might be going through a midlife crisis. That's possible. And realizing, kind of coming to the awareness that it's like, okay, you know, what worked when I was in my 20s, it doesn't really appeal to me now, right? But it's kind of hard because he's like, he's gotten this rap, you know, and he's realizing the passage of time, you know, but I think he's reaching for something more. He's like, I'm ready to kind of like end some of this negativity, you know? So let's, you know, I'm devil's advocate, okay? You know, I'm a Libra, and we know how to balance that shadow and light. So let's have a little compassion for the bad boy, okay? I'm not saying let him off the hook, but let's have a little compassion because he's working through some stuff, you know? Yeah, and I think, you know, we got here the provider, you know? And I think that he's feeling kind of like he's playing dress up, you know? There's this message coming through of like putting on an act, you know? And it's sort of like with this elephant here in the bottom on the provider, I really see this as, you know, he sort of feels like it's the elephant in the room, that the reality is he's not really in a position of being a sound provider yet, you know? I think of, you know, this elephant eating here, and the first thing that came in my mind was working for peanuts, you know? Like, I think he feels like he's kind of been clowned out a bit, like he's working his ass off, but he's not really getting anywhere. And I do see there's some issues, you know, that he may have, you know, a baby mama somewhere, you know, he might have one on the way, you know, maybe he, you know, in his, you know, his exploring, he ended up, you know, getting somebody pregnant. Now he's looking at the reality of how am I going to take care of this, and realizing he put up this false front, you know, how's he going to come out with the reality of his situation? He also may be a drinker. I'm picking that up. You know, he may have some problems, some issues, you know. I feel like there's some kind of instability in his home, for sure. And I am picking up like kind of a mothering energy around him, you know. And this doesn't necessarily have to be a mother, but it could be somebody that kind of like plays that role in his life. There's some kind of strong feminine, you know, in his life that's trying to give him the support that he needs. You know, she gets a little hard on him sometimes, this Madam Ruffle Bonnet, you know, and she kind of has some stiff, rigid standards, you know. She's a little bit of a traditionalist, and I think she needs to understand that this person, I'm picking up the energy of this bad boy, he's really a free spirit. And I feel like he's some kind of creative type, you know. I'm getting like, I'm seeing somebody who does painting, you know. I'm sure there's many different scenarios, but a painter is coming through really strong. Somebody who does very like modern kind of style painting. I see lots of like, you know, splashes of color. Maybe even somebody who just like throws the paint at the canvas, you know. Very dynamic artist, uses a lot of bold colors. Maybe not even what he's normally known for creatively either. You know, he could be like a musician, and, you know, painting is something that he does on the side just for his personal enjoyment. It's actually a way that he expresses a lot of the stuff that he's going through. Yeah, I do feel like there's, you know, there's some kind of feminine, you know, figure around him who's trying to support him and help him out, trying to help him get his shit together. But she's a little of a traditionalist. And it's making things, you know, not so easy, you know, for him to adapt, because that's not who he is. And I think he does need to, you know, stay true to himself. But I also think part of staying true to himself is living authentically and being real, right? So this is interesting, kind of deep. I didn't expect this. And here we got, you know, the penis weasel, okay? So I don't know. There's another scenario with that Madame Rufflebonnet, you know. Maybe he has felt really restricted, you know, by a particular woman, you know, in his life. He feels like, you know, she's kind of boring, you know. She's not as experimental as him in the bed, you know. This might be something he's been committed to, you know, and he's been looking for a little of that freaky deek, you know. I don't know, you know, and this could apply for a woman too, you know, this false front, okay? So it's speaking to the broads, you know. This could also be a broad who's like a total player, right? She puts on this like front, like, oh, I'm a good girl and I'm so prim and proper, but really she's like a fucking penis weasel, you know? She can't get enough of it. And she hides how many partners she has, you know? I'm picking up in both of these situations, whether it's a masculine or a feminine, that there is definitely like a steady partner involved who doesn't know what's going on. And I saw 21:55 on the clock when I said that. 21, that's 3. That makes me think third party. 5, that's change. That's unexpected change. It's unpredictability, you know, that changes circumstances. I think that this woman may be about to find out, you know, what's been happening behind her back. And, oh, yes. And it's going to be the death of King Fancy's kingdom, you know. King Fancy ain't going to be so fancy anymore. Look at that hand of death coming down to take that kingdom away. I think this is going to cause some serious problems. Ooh, in the home front. And when I said that, my angel fell over. There's a fallen angel, man. Oh, you know, it's okay. We all fall, man. I mean, we all fall. It's how you rise that matters, bad boy, whoever you are, Spike. You know, if you're watching this read, Spike, it's all about how you rise, you know. I'm feeling pulled to, you know, pull out these super awesome future cards. You know, this is what happens when we put on false fronts with people. We're not just real about who we are, you know. Sometimes, yeah, you know, this greed comes in with the pig, okay? This greed comes in where all you can think about is what you want with this wish card, you know? You don't think about how it affects other people. And it's like, okay, so you want to go and, you know, sow your oats, you know? You want to go and have fun. There ain't nothing wrong with that, you know? You are, you know, in charge of your life, and you have the freedom to express yourself creatively, sexually, you know, in any way you wish to. There's nothing wrong with that, but, you know, it is just, you know, a good practice to be communicative about, you know, your desires and how you plan to move, especially if you've, you know, taken on a situation where you've made a commitment to somebody. and then you're like skeezing around behind their back. It's pretty foul. It can cause a lot of problems, and it can cause a lot of heartache, and then big messes to clean up. And then next thing you know, King Fancy is losing his kingdom because he fucked around and now he's finding out, you know? So I do think there's a transformation happening in this situation, and I think it's because things are going to come to light, and the partner who has been fooled around on is about to figure out what's been happening. And it's a shame because this person has really been an anchor, you know? They had held everything down, but, you know, she ain't going to be holding it down for this dude anymore, you know? Look at that. She's got him in some chopsticks, man. The anchor's getting pulled up. There goes that stability. We have the compass up here. You're going to have to find your way, man. You know, the thing with the octopus, though, is that's 8 energy, okay? So, you know, sometimes, you know, things have to get really messy. There needs to be a lot of upheaval. You know, I see this almost like a tower, you know, type of a situation. Things need to come to a head, you know, and you need to feel out of control, you know, 25:55 on the clock when I said that, okay? So yeah, you know, this is something where, you know, 7's all about spirits, like spirits got the wheel here. Things need to change. They can't keep going like that. You can't keep leaving wreckage behind you, bad boys or bad broads, you know? You gotta, you know, get your shit together. And so before you can get your shit together, first it's gonna kind of have to come undone. And I think it's gonna give you a whole new direction you're heading in. It's weird. I feel like I'm talking to the bad boys, you know? And I didn't really expect that. I thought I was gonna be talking to the others involved more, but it does feel more like it's like kind of directed toward the bad boys. We do see some happiness is going to come in, though, in the midst of this. This is, you know, and this is really what you've been looking for, bad boys. You've been looking for a break in the monotony, you know. It's just been the same thing every fucking day. Yeah, you know, with this moon energy, 33 right here, you know. This is Sagittarius energy with the centaur. I mean, obviously, we can make that association. We also see a snake here. It could be somebody born in the year of the snake, okay? But we see this, like, you know, wanting to aim for something higher, like shooting for the moon. Like, I don't want just this everyday monotony fucking bullshit, okay? I want fucking magic. I want magic, you know? And that's the thing is there's this home situation, okay? And it's been really disrupted. I see that. There's going to be a disruption in the home. You know, you see these fireworks off in the background. It's like arguments inside the house. Shit's about to get, you know, it's about to get messy. It's about to pop off. That's what I'm picking up. And it's like, here's that, you know, that false front. It's like everything looks so normal, you know? It's the happy home in the suburbs, and everything's just so picture perfect on the outside. But, you know, look at this weird ass Bebo dude, you know, hanging out inside. Like, he ain't all together there, man. There's some weird shit going on, you know. There's some problems in the household. Yeah, and there may have even been some illness here. We see that, you know, and I'm picking this up more as like, when I'm picking up illness, I'm picking up within the relationship, you know, the stable relationship. There's like codependency or, you know, really unhealthy dynamic in the relationship. Again, I'm picking up this may have to do with alcohol, like one partner maybe, you know, doing a lot of drinking. I do think it's Spike. I do think it's the bad boy or the bad broad, all right? Yeah, but I think there's a need to really, like, you know, heal from this, you know, maybe even check in a rehab or something, you know, but there's definitely a breakup here. There is a breakup. This ship is going down. This playing around, you know, people on the side, it did cost a stable relationship. But it's interesting here is that 8 energy again. We have the sun coming out. I do associate like the sun with the sign of Leo, and 29 on the clock when I said that. That's 11:11, okay? So, you know, I do see that with this directional reroute, you know, happiness will come in again, you know? Happiness is assured, you know, it will manifest. It's almost like this needed to come to an end because there was too much sneaking around with this fox, you know, this fox in the hen house. And there was no way that anything positive could come out of that. And it was unfair for the people who didn't know what the deal was, you know. So, you know, I see with this handshake energy that things are being settled now, you know, tentatively, like it's not in the best place, bad boys. But hey, 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 I love it when that lightning comes. Hey, 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 I like it a lot. Lightning. Things are going to get shocking. I think this is about to be blown out of the water, and that's the message that I needed to deliver tonight to the bad boys playing around out there who've been cheating on somebody who's been doing right by them, waiting on them at home. You're about to be exposed, and I think it's going to be by the women you've been fooling around with. So, be live. Lightning's going to strike, man.